Whatever she said, then I'm that. If this here rocks to y'all, then you that. Whatever she said, then I'm that. If this here rocks to y'all, then you that.
Hey, what is up, YouTube and G Team? It is Major G. As some of you might know, if you've been following me for a while or so, I am once again, I know, I am a Charmed fan. Like, I love Charmed. I've seen just about the entire series. I initially started when sometime after Paige became the third Charmed one, after Prue died. But and I followed much of the series. Then for a while it was kind of loosely, and then I think in the past 2 or 3 seasons I've seen just about every episode. And since that time, because that was when it was back on the air, or that's when it was on the air initially. Since that time, I've actually watched every episode up to just after Paige joined the Charmed ones. Like binge watched every episode. So I'm pretty familiar with the entire plot line of Charmed. I'm a big fan. If you guys remember a couple years ago when I went to go see Aksan in LA, one of the things I did before I left was to take a visit to the Hallowell Mansion, Hallowell Manor, which even though the show is set in San Francisco, the house is, and I believe most of the filming was done in LA, and that includes the house. The house is in LA. Bit of trivia: it's around the corner from Dom's house. From Fast and the Furious, from Dom Toretto's house and the was it garage or whatever place that they worked at in the very first Fast and the Furious. It's like right around the corner from there. The real life location is, and so so I'm very familiar with the show. Love the show. I mean, followed it for a long time. I follow all the sisters on social media. I always feel like my favorite one was Piper. I always thought Holly Marie Combs was really cute. They even did, was it on this old show Hype, which was a sketch comedy show on the WB or UPN. I want to say the WB. The WB. They actually had they had made fun of, they had a sketch about Charmed, which was like Charmed cereal, and you're probably never going to find it today. But they had a sketch about Charmed, and it was like Charmed cereal, with like ghost mallows and stuff, and like wizards and warlocks and stuff, and it was like this family eating breakfast. And it was like Charmed cereal starring Shannon Doherty, Alyssa Milano, and that other girl, Holly Marie Combs. So, and like as the family started eating the cereal, they started getting possessed. But that's a little tangent. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Charmed. Love Charmed. And so there's a reboot coming out on the CW. I don't know how I feel about that. I know the girls themselves haven't really been too happy about it. And I can understand why. I also don't really feel like a reboot is necessary. I mean, the way Charmed is set, you could actually just have a revival series or a sequel series, and that would be fine. And I feel like that would be a little better. I would personally have preferred that, but we're getting a reboot. So, And as far as I know, none of the original cast have been asked to make any kind of cameos or anything like that. So I know a lot of people are very up in arms about this. I'm not very excited about it, but I will mostly hold off in any kind of real beliefs until I see the trailer, which is this. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see how it goes. So let's go ahead and watch this. Let's see how they're gonna do it. I am kind of curious about that. So here we go. Charmed, the extended first look from the CW. Here we go.
I feel so lucky to be the mother of two special young women. Special in such different ways. Always remember that.
Two.
You're better together. Your differences are your strengths. And nothing is stronger than your sisterhood. So nurture that. We are all over it.
Yeah, we're gonna nurture it so hard.
The light of the dawn has no meaning. You're lost in the haze of the night.
Hey, I have to go. Something is wrong.
Mel and Maggie.
Where is she?
So we're going with like a supernatural type
Three
thing.
months and there's no evidence of foul play.
Because you're not looking.
Mel.
Yeah, I know what's on the report. Are you serious?
You're so angry all the time, Mel. This is why I don't come home. You're obsessed with Mom's death.
Obsessed?
Yes, obsessed.
Because I'm not just moving on like nothing happened? That's not fair.
Hi, I'm Macy Vaughn.
Where have I seen her?
I think I'm your sister.
If someone just showed up, claiming to be
Oh, so they're doing like a page type thing. Ah, so she's Piper.
What is happening?
I'm fine on my own. I like being on my own.
Then why'd you go there?
I guess I wanted to ask him about my mom.
If you tried again.
Enough,
So she's
okay?
telekinesis. Yep.
I'm drunk and clumsy. I should go. Isn't this the girl whose mom died? That should be nice.
Is this some kind of like prank?
I'm so bloated.
Oh, they gave her telepathy.
Hello, ladies.
This is the White Lighter.
There is
No.
a reasonable explanation.
Yeah, he's the White Lighter.
There we are. You are charmed ones. The most powerful trio of witches.
This is crazy. I am not a witch. I don't even like wearing witch costumes on Halloween. Like, not even slutty ones.
I will help you understand it all. I am an advisor to witches.
Wait, was Mom a witch?
Bingo. And part of my speech. Your mother bound your powers when you each were born to protect you and let you live normal lives. She began the process of unbinding those powers the night she was murdered.
I knew it. I knew she didn't fall.
Your mother's spellbook.
Ah.
The Book of Shadows.
Book of Shadows,
Your guide
yep.
To protect the innocent and vanquish demons. You three have to decide whether you wish to accept your witchly fate.
No, no way. I'm
Are
not
they
doing
using a
this.
Ouija
Witches
board?
aren't real. This is our legacy. Mom wanted us to do this, and now we can figure out who killed her.
Looks like something in the underworld knows you three had your powers activated.
Throughout history, strong women were called witches, and they are. We are. We have to unite.
Maybe we can do this like once a month and never on Saturday nights. Maggie! Okay, fine, fine. I'm in. Timor, 2 days extra time.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have shut you out. And Macy, you're not alone anymore. We're sisters.
You're better together. Your differences are your strengths. And nothing is stronger than your sisterhood. Always remember that.
Charmed, Sundays this fall on the CW.
Okay, so clearly this is going to be a lot different than the original. So they are mixing a few elements of similar series here. So I mean, we got the three same initials. What was that? Maisie, Melanie, and what was it? Maisie, Melanie, and Maureen? I forget. But yeah, we're going with 3 M's now. And they look like they're younger than the original cast were. Because I believe they were like in their late 20s, early 30s when they first got their powers, is what I want to say. Or no, the youngest was Phoebe, and Phoebe had already dropped out of college multiple times, so I think she was like 25. So yeah, they were like late 20s, early 30s when they got their powers. In the original Charmed. So it looks like they're going younger. And I guess their advisor isn't going to be a white lighter, which eliminates some of the mysticism. And they're going kind of more in a Giles direction from Buffy. So the differences, there are enough differences for me to be fascinated by this series, to be honest. It feels like they're going for a completely new fan base. So if you haven't seen the original, this would be your charmed ones. And I feel like they could definitely build this. They could definitely do some real world building in terms of this particular group of charmed ones if they do it correctly. Because they definitely seem to be mixing in a bit of Buffy and a bit of Charmed. Hopefully they don't try too hard, because I know some of the things that put a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths was when they said they were trying to be more feminist. And the original Charmed was pretty freaking feminist. They were 3 strong women. Everything basically fell upon them. And everything depended on their sisterhood and their connection to each other. Now the oldest one, Maisie, she looks familiar. I think I've seen her on something, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I can't really remember what it is. But I will say that this looks fascinating enough that I will watch it. I'm definitely going to give it a shot. And I'm not extremely turned off by it. As an old Charmed fan, I'm not turned off by it. And I'd like to see what they can do with this. Now, I know there are probably going to be a lot of people who are like, oh my god, there's not like the original at all. So it's terrible. Yeah, I can understand that, but it's not meant to be the original. This is supposed to be something new, which it feels like they're doing. It feels like there's enough new elements in there for new and old fans to enjoy, as long as you keep an open mind. Now, I remember, I mean, usually, I feel like I'm usually correct in this manner. I was kind of skeptical of Black Lightning when it came out, and it turned out to be a pretty cool show. And but once again, I didn't really totally hate it. Like, I wasn't like, oh my god, this is going to be awful. I was like, you know what, this is interesting, let's see. And it turned out to be pretty good. I said the same thing about Star Trek, and it turned out to be pretty freaking accurate. Even though a lot of people gave Discovery a lot of guff, Discovery turned out to be an awesome Star Trek show. So So, and I was the one who was like, "Oh, I'm excited by this." And you're not going to be able to find that video now because Paramount had it taken down. By the way, there was a girl who asked me a question on that video. What was it? She said, as a Star Trek fan, how can you, she could tell from the stuff I was saying that I'm actual Star Trek. I'm a real Trekkie, and Trekker, and I've been a Trekker for most of my life. And she was like, how could you even think that this looks remotely interesting? And it was because I gave it a chance. It looked different enough that as long as it fell within certain parameters, I could give it a complete shot. Or I could give it a shot and allow what they're going to give us. And in that, I ended up liking the design of the Klingons a little bit more. And I'm actually a fan of the lens flare because I think it makes it look futuristic. And I felt like as long as Discovery completely stated that it was within the bounds of the reboot universe, quote unquote reboot, because it is a reboot universe, but it's not really a reboot universe, then it makes total sense. Because the reboot universe allows for a lot of different changes within the universe. But yeah, and I feel the same thing about this one. I said that I didn't like the way Reboot looked at all. The new series on Reboot. I didn't like the way Reboot looked at all. And later on, I don't remember if I said this on camera or in comments, but later on I said that if they took off the name Reboot and it was its own series, if they took out every single reference to Reboot, it could be a watchable show. But as long as they tie it to the confines of Reboot, it just doesn't make sense. And sure enough, I've been getting comments on that video like, well, if you don't really think of it as Reboot, it's not bad. And yeah, I totally agree with that. If it was its own series, if it had been Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, the reimagining, it would be a really good series. If it was Power Rangers Cyber Force, it could be a decent series, but not as Reboot. It doesn't make sense as Reboot. So, which means, by the way, I'll probably check that out solely because of that last episode, because I heard the last episode ties it. There's some kind of tie-in to the original series. But anyway, back to Charmed. I'm curious about where this is going to go. I really am. There are definite differences between this series and the original series, enough that you can look at it with a completely fresh outlook. And I think that makes for a decent reboot. That definitely makes for a decent reboot. As long as you don't go in with thinking that it's supposed to be the original, because from this, it doesn't look like the original at all. I don't even think the house was the same. The design of the house looks the same. The interior decorating looks the same. Let me check that out one more time, because the interior decoration looks a lot like the old house, but yeah, the attic looks mostly the same. Once again, it's Vancouver, as a lot of CW shows are prone to filming in Vancouver, which, San Francisco, some of the weather of San Francisco isn't all that far from the weather in Vancouver. So a lot of the northern northwest weather is just mostly wet, gray. San Francisco, I believe, gets a little sunnier and warmer, but it still has a lot of, the winters aren't necessarily snowy. They look a lot like Seattle winters, from what I understand. And for my time there, that's what it looked like too. It was I was there in the wintertime, and it was gray, just like Seattle was. So, yeah, I'm gonna be willing to check this out, see how it looks, see how things go with it. But yeah, so how do you guys feel about it? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, be excellent to one another, and party on, dudes. For many of you that have never seen it, is the location, the exact same location that is used as Terry Donovan's Fight Club. You might recognize the block a little bit that way. So that's usually where they film from. They'll usually look out.